What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Anti-simp Show. This is where I pretty much bring up various topics and give my perspective and my observation on them. And if you're new to the channel, hit the bell notification so you can be notified whenever I drop a new video. And I feel like you should watch this series from the beginning, if you happen to give a damn. All right, let's get started. So Bill Burr says that white women need to stop playing victim and that they benefited from the system of white supremacy, and they need to, basically sit down and shut up and take this verbal smackdown that they've been getting. And I kind of agree. A lot of times, white women like to play the victim. And what's interesting is that when Bill Burr was trending, there were white women doing mental jumping jacks to basically, they just ended up proving what he said was true, by basically carrying it up on everything. But my question is, I'm curious, where does he, because like when I used to have the Stop Simping Movement Facebook page, Red Pill and MGTOW guys used to post these video clips all the time. And it would basically, they actually acted like his clips were, Red Pill or MGTOW. They thought he was very, he was one of those, one or the other. However, since he's a lot of his clips, he talked about, feminism. So I get where they would get that idea from. But now that he said that, he's acknowledged that white people have basically been responsible for the racial injustice that black people have dealt with, and maybe other groups. Where does that leave him with the Red Pill community or the MGTOW community? Because I already know that since I've seen white women, running their mouths, that he's already an enemy of them. So, and I've pointed out that the MGTOW and Red Pill community are pretty racist. I provided proof of that. If you want to believe it or not, that's not my problem, but it exists. There are people who are racist among those communities. So I'm interested in where they would actually, if they would keep supporting them. Or if the Red Pill and MGTOW community might actually just team up, especially since he's become an enemy of both of them. Moving on, Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez goes, Tory Lanez went live again, basically, and I know y'all tired of hearing this story because, the whole story hasn't come out, but he went live basically to poke holes in her story, and that's where we're at with it. She called him a crazy dude, but she was with him and she knew he was crazy, so we're really not trying to hear anything anybody else has to say unless it's the full story. I get that he can only talk about so much of the story, but I don't know. I don't think he should be on social media talking about it. But maybe he's talked to his lawyer and, he's given a go to say what he said and to say he's innocent. I suppose he can say he's innocent, but everybody involved in the story has basically gone on and said things that, there was just a whole lot of nothing. And realistically, maybe they can stop talking about this until this actually comes out. But he did poke a hole in her story. And one of the most interesting holes he poked in her story was the fact that she said that the only reason why she didn't give him up was because she wanted to protect him as a black man. And that's kind of odd, because if she was on a stretcher in police custody, maybe even in the ambulance, she could have detailed what happened to her. She could have told them what happened to her, and that she was in police custody. I mean, not police custody, but protection. While he was in police custody, she could have let them know what happened, that he shot her. But she didn't. So then she waited to go live, and then she decided that's when she wanted to expose him. And now all this, the more this goes on, the more it just seems like everybody involved is lying, because her, the best friend, and him are all telling lies or whatever, and they're just telling stories that's filled with holes. Hold on, get some water right quick. And it's really annoying. Tiffany Haddish, she asked why she was never cast in a Wayans film, because she was always on 10, and I can see that. it always seemed like some of the roles that I've seen, some of the movies, the Wayans brother movies I've seen, you know, it always, now that I think about it, some of the parts that he had in the movies for black women did seem like they were roles meant for her. But it doesn't seem like she could turn off being her for the role. Maybe they didn't see the last OG where I think she actually did find a way to turn it off or whatever. But when she was younger, she was just more immature or whatever. However, I'll probably be putting my foot in my mouth because she went on to prove him right by making this, she wrote this unnecessary Instagram post about her past exes reaching out to her, and it was like very over the top. From my knowledge, I thought she was still with Common. So if she's happily in love with him, you know, why are you even thinking about them dudes in the past? Who else like writes these posts about their exes still trying to reach out to them? And who does that? It's just weird and over the top and unnecessary, and it just pretty much drew attention to what he was basically saying about her. Like she was always on 10. Now we're gonna move forward to Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was trending on Twitter because he posted a new photos of himself, and he was, you know, basically he was looking in better shape than he was before in the past. In the past, he's always looked like he was, you know, he looked like he was built for the role of Madea, and now he's in really good shape. He's worth $1 billion, and you know he's gotten. I guess I haven't really looked at him like that. Looked at him like that for like details of him, but you know apparently from the trends on Twitter, you know women were calling him Zaddy, and some of the women were like antagonizing other women, and it didn't even seem like it was in a joking manner. They were antagonizing other women for, you know, getting turned on by him. And it's like he's in great shape and he's worth $1 billion. If you do not make 10% of $1 billion, please see yourself out of the conversation, because you do not make $100 million to be even in the conversation to be able to turn down this man. Like he is not in your cup of tea. But for women who see that, you know, he's in good shape, and you know they were calling him Zaddy, so I'm assuming that they find him attractive now that he's in better shape, and he's, you know, his beard is well groomed. He looked well groomed. He just looks better for his age. I'm assuming that, you know, he does it for them. That's usually how that works. But to see all these women up there like, nah, or, you know, y'all getting turned on by Madea, it's like that man in the picture is not Madea. He played Madea, a character, but that is not Madea. And you are not within the tax bracket to be saying the things that you're saying. I mean, it's like, what trips me out about this is that they were acting as if they were fronting. And nothing like makes me laugh more than the fact that broads, because of the internet, broads basically turn up their fronting levels to 10, and they just act like they are just they can just say no to things. Like I'll be seeing things like, you know, they be talking about no to Tiger or no to Bow Wow. It's like you're not even in the tax bracket. Even a bankrupt Bow Wow or Tiger comes from a family of money, so for women to act like, you know, these guys don't have it like that, and why are other women tripping about them, is like you really don't understand. I want to say not sexual attraction, but you don't have sexual education, or you are out of the loop when it comes to like it's the thing that Lizzo has where she can't understand. I can't articulate what I'm trying to say, but it's the thing that Lizzo has where she just doesn't understand how certain things work in the world. Only thing she's going to keep doing is saying that she's a talented big girl, and why aren't the guys that she likes into her? And she's into guys that are not, you know, within her body frame. Like she's a big John, but she's not lusting after other big men. She's lusting after skinnier dudes, and she's wondering why those skinny dudes aren't lusting after her. And it's like, you just don't understand how this works. or you don't care how this works, but more importantly, you also understand how this works. Because other women do things to attract women, to attract men. And then they got a nerve to call them out on doing things that attract men, but you don't want to do these things to attract men. You want people to like you as you are, and that's just not how things will work if you are whack. And women who are arguing that, this guy isn't attractive despite the fact he's worth millions of dollars or billions of dollars, and he's in really good shape, you're just not making any sense. It's like you don't understand how things works. Let me see if I can find it. Man. I don't think I could find it, because it was something that I think it was O'Shea that said it in a previous one of his videos. He mentioned he was talking about Lizzo, and what was it, O'Shea, or was it the other bull? The other bull, I forget what his name is. He does videos similar to him. Oh, Jada Black. It could have been him. He could have talked about women not understanding certain things when it comes to like sexual attraction, but I forgot the word he used. But I think I did a good enough job explaining what I mean by that they don't understand how sexual attraction works. Because they keep doing this thing where they just put energy into something and don't understand that they're not getting the energy back, and they're just gonna keep getting mad about it instead of changing, what isn't working for them. They're gonna keep trying. My whole point is that, for the majority of women, Tyler Perry being in good shape and having a lot of money, being worth $1 billion, is what's going to do it for him. The same way Jeff Bezos, has gotten into great shape, and he's out there exercising, and he's worth billions of dollars, and his company's worth trillions of dollars. That's going to do that for him. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, that's going to do that for them. What's his name? Mark Zuckerberg. I said Zach. Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook worth billions of dollars. Women are going to find him attractive. Women are going to find, if Trump is worth $2 billion, women are going to find him attractive. No matter how fat and out of shape he is, they're going to find some way to drop the draws for him, because that's just how things work. But y'all are just out of touch when it comes to reality, or for some reason. Anyway, I want to move forward. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm just getting uncomfortable. Selena Johnson says that she will never cancel Ice Cube, and she thinks people should listen to him. And I don't even think I would care about that part. I think I agree. I don't have an issue with what she said, but it's like the people who have been getting at Ice Cube are very are agents. I feel like that, because there's no way, unless you're intentionally doing this, there's no way you could misinterpret what he said and what's been going on, unless you're either stupid or intentionally doing this, and you're working against our best interests. Ice Cube created a contract for Black Americans so that we can get reparations for our votes, but he says that the Democratic Biden's campaign reached out to him, but didn't want to go any further with it until after the election. Trump's campaign reached out to him, and they made adjustments to the platinum plan. We weren't going to agree to it because it was BS, but however, he actually was trying to listen. And Ice Cube said he was willing to work with whoever was willing to work with him. And instead of getting mad that the Democratic Party isn't working with him now to secure our votes, they just got mad at the fact that that Cube talked to Biden, Trump's campaign. Not Trump himself, but Trump's campaign. He hasn't met with or talked to Donald Trump, unlike Lil Wayne. And then 50 Cent, he made a joke about Biden's taxes being in the 62%, and that is a lot. 62% taxes is a lot, because think about it now. If you're talking almost half, you're talking about almost half of your income when it comes to if you made more than $400,000 a year. You're making $400,000 a year. You're looking at probably more than half of your income. Not more, almost half its income. We're talking about 40%. So you do 40% times whatever you making. Like if you're making $400,000 per year, and I'm assuming, let's see, divided by that's interesting, because somebody else who was talking on finances said that their income tax is going to be in like $350,000 a year, which is actually not bad. But since when you reach about 400,000, you're probably doing about 60, not 60, my bad, not 60. You're in the 40%, pretty much around that range. It just gets wild. So let's say you divide 400,000 times 12, you're probably doing about 33,333 a year, and I guess 33 cents. So let's just say, here we go. So it's 33,000. That's a lot, but let's do 400,000 minus 40%. Oops, my bad. Almost half, 240,000 is what they take out, or is what's left. Let me see, 240,000. So it looks like they take about 160,000 out of your checks. Not the checks. That's a lot. But out of your whole, like, you know, salary for the year or whatever. So anyway, 50 Cent was making a joke about it, that, you know, he didn't like that, because at 40, as I just calculated, at 40%, you're already looking at almost half of your income, you know, being gutted. Almost half your income being gutted at 40%. So they're talking about 62% taxes. That is a lot. That is a lot for your taxes to get gutted. 62%. That is 12%. That's not even just half. That's 12% more than half. 62%. Like, that is that. I understand why he would make that joke, because that's a lot of taxes to be taken out of your check. But 50 Cent is a troll, so he joked about, you know, supporting Trump or whatever the case is, and people were getting on him. What I don't like is the fact that, like, a good example of like how liberals can be condescending, but they act like the right is really stupid, is that Chelsea Handler, who's a liberal, went on to say that she had to remind him that he's a black guy. Like, the nerve of this Karen. Like, even you look, and there's nobody around to tell her, because they're all about checking 50 Cent and checking, you know, black masculinity, that nobody's around to check her on what she said as being a privileged white thing to say to a black man. He doesn't need you to remind him that he's a black man. He has to live it every day. He gets up, he brushes his teeth, he sees his skin color. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, but of course you are out of your mind. That's how the Karen thing works. And the Karen thing doesn't just apply to conservative right white women. It also applies to conservative left white women as well, because it's just the audacity of you, the caucasity of you. That really annoyed me, that she said that. He has a black son. He has black sons. He knows he's black, and it was a joke. Then she, like, and he's in a relationship. She's talking about she give him one more spin. If she had kept it that she would pay his taxes, that would be interesting. And she didn't say the whole, I had to remind him he was black. That's one thing. But the rest of what she said was just insult, just super racist. Moving forward, because this is just thinking about this got my blood hot, man. Ice Cube basically created this contract for us to get reparations, and for people to be questioning him is just, I feel like they're agents or really stupid. It doesn't matter which one anymore. Moving forward, Floyd Mayweather responds to NBA YoungBoy calling Floyd a bitch ass daddy. and this is on one of the videos that was dubbed "My Wife," in which he was NBA YoungBoy was responding to a whole bunch of haters or trolls, and I think he was with Mayweather's daughter, Yaya Mayweather, and he pointed out that everything he got himself, and he didn't have any help. He didn't take anything from her dad. And that's when he referred to her dad as a bitch ass daddy. Now, and what's interesting is Floyd could put that dude in the morgue, but he responded to it in a calm manner and said that first they asked him how you feel about her being pregnant. It was she pregnant, and he confirmed that she was pregnant. And asked him how he felt about it. He just said that he wanted his daughter to be happy, and they said it rubbed him the wrong way. That NBA YoungBoy basically said that he was her bitch ass daddy, and Floyd basically says that it starts in the house. The mom responded to this, and that's what makes me laugh. My perspective on this is that what Floyd said was right, because the statistics show that when it comes to single mothers raising their kids, they are at risk for a lot of things. Becoming detrimental to society and themselves. They're easily influenced because realistically, and a lot of people aren't going to talk about this. Let me get some water right quick. A lot of people aren't going to talk about this, but when it comes to single parents, they don't raise children, they maintain them, and that's real. They maintain them by basically, they provide the house, they provide the utilities, they provide the food, they provide the clothing, and that is about the extent of their parenting. There is just no way that they have the time of day to equip the kid who is being raised by both parents. There's no way for them to equip that kid or to have the time to consistently equip that kid with the best that he needs, with everything that he needs, he or she needs to be a fully functioning adult. There's no way that they have the time to equip that kid with everything that's needed to be a fully functioning adult. First off, they would have to work 8 to 10 hours a day to be able to provide the home and all the other things that a child needs. At a young age, it's more difficult because it's harder for them to be home. The kid has to go to daycare. They're hoping that they can be around parents or grandparents or whatever, and that way that can save them money on going to the daycare. But realistically, they work 8 to 12 hours a day to be able to afford the house. They work. Their kids are at school for usually 8 hours a day. Very rarely, unless they are participating in after-school activities, are they at school for longer than that. Hell, school, and I've been saying this for years, school is pretty much just a daycare before the actual daycare. It's somewhat of the freer or less costly daycare that they send their kids to every day. And, they're hoping the teachers actually provide them, and everything else, teachers, the other students provide their kids with lifelong lessons that they can't possibly articulate to these kids. By the time, let's just go through an average day of somebody who's a single mom. You work 8 to 12 hours a day. If you're working a typical 9 to 5, you are home probably after the kid. If you're lucky and you work early, even if you work earlier than that, which in most cases they don't, it's a typical 9 to 5. But let's argue the fact that you might that you might work earlier than that. Let's say 7 o'clock. So rather than 5 o'clock, you're home at 2. That's probably one of the only situations in which you are home before your kid gets there, and you get to provide, you get to help them out with their homework. You might even be able to be home early enough to be actually, my bad. You might even be home early enough to actually, I moved it up 2 hours, didn't I? I said 2, but I meant 3. So you get off at 3 o'clock, in some cases, kids get home from school at 3 if they're not participating in after school activities. But for the sake of just, not getting too confusing, I'm gonna just say 9 to 5. So you work a 9 to 5 from 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you're only gonna be able to get 12 hours to yourself. Yeah, 8 out of, so you only got 14 hours left of the day. My bad, I say 8, but no, let's take that back, because depending on where you work, you're gonna need an hour to get there, and it's probably gonna take you an hour to get back home. So that's right, about 12 hours left of the day. If you happen to work, you can do the math yourself if you happen to work somewhere else. But I just know as a person who has worked jobs before, and you work 8 to 10 hours a day, it don't matter what your job is, you're gonna need time to get there and time to get back. Any time that you save in between that, that's great. There's more time to yourself, more time to sleep, less time to be, up and about. And I've worked like 8 to 10 hours to 12 hours days. Sometimes I've even worked 16-hour days. There's no way on a 16-hour day that you would actually work 16 hours, get off work, and have the time to do anything else besides sleep. When you get back home, you're gonna sleep for as much as you can, which is about, less than 6 hours? A little bit less than 6 hours. Let's see. Because like I said, it takes you an hour to get there and an hour to get back. If it takes more than that, then you probably work too far from your house. But about 8 hours left. So if it takes you an hour to get back home, you got seven hours left to get some sleep. If you got to shower and eat before going to bed, then you're just deducting more time. More than likely, you're gonna have to eat when you get back to work, and you got to shower. If you got to shower, you're gonna try to make that joint a quick shower, or shower before going to work, or you bird bath it, or you just don't shower at all. It's complicated. It's a tough. Now, if you don't work that many hours, then let's bring it back down to normal hours. 8 to 12, between 8 to 12 hours a day. So you got an hour to get there and an hour to get back. You might as well say an 8-hour day. You might as well deduct 10 hours from the day on an 8-hour day. If it's 10 hours, you deduct 12. On the 12 hours, you deduct about 14. On a 16-hour, you might as well deduct 2 as well. You might as well deduct 18. Because you need time to prep for work. Unless you're always late, and then I don't really have the math for that one anyway. But you might as well just do the math on it. There's just no way that a person who's coming home, who needs about 10 hours, who's like, you might as well deduct 10 hours of those days. And this is just for somebody who's just doesn't have any kids. I didn't mean for this to go on for 30 minutes, but I just gotta say, I just gotta articulate this, that these parents are not raising these kids, they are maintaining them. And so to call it parenting, or that, because that's what she said. She says you can raise your kids, the best of your abilities, but they're gonna do what they want. And that's usually true. That is usually true, but in her situation, she did not raise her kids, she maintained them. And if he has other brothers and sisters, then you gotta just articulate that there was more time taken from them. If she, and usually in these situations, if she didn't have, if she has to, on top of her money, the way money should work is that it should be your age and income. If you're 25, you should be making $25,000 a year. Every year, it should go up by about $1,000. So you should be making your money in your age. So if she wasn't making her money in her age plus an additional $1,000 per the child's age, so she has a 5-year-old kid, she's making an additional $1,000, then she was pretty much wasn't making as much money, and then she had to scratch and claw for, or even she had to do whatever was necessary to make sure that her kids had the money. And if his father wasn't in the picture, it just becomes a little bit more chaotic. Maybe I should, do this in another video, but let's just go there. Let's just go there in this episode. That these parents are not raising these kids, they are maintaining them. So let's run with the narrative that she's working 8 hours a day. She has and she needs an hour to get there and prepare to get there, or whatever the case is. So let's say she has to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning. She's gonna want to be up at 7. She's gonna have to make the kids breakfast. She's gonna and shower. If they're not in the shower, cutting up her time, she needs to make sure her kids are out by 7 o'clock. If she has to drive her kids before going to work, it's just a lot, you know. And that's just the morning. Then she has to get to work, do her time there. If she's not tired from the job or whatever, when she gets home, which I don't care how much work you do, if you're there 8 hours a day at one place, it can be tiring. I don't care how much activity it is or isn't, it is tiring. I've done security in my past, and you know, I didn't do much work at the security jobs, but you know, I would be tired just from being in one place all at once. It's just how work is. But let's just say she goes to work. She's drained by the time she gets off of work. She makes it home. If she hasn't eaten at work, then she gets home. She probably takes a nap. Hopefully she can take a nap at 5 o'clock. But more than likely she can't, because she works from 9 to 5. She has to be up with her kids, and if they need her throughout that day, you know, God forbid they don't need her, because that's just draining. Hopefully she doesn't have to be to school to pick them up because they did something wrong. Hopefully, like, it's a whole bunch of different variables that come into place when you're parenting alone. And that's the discussion that we need to be having. It's like, these single mothers are not raising these kids, they are maintaining them. If it was one parent at home, then it'd be one parent at home that the kids can meet and run into. And then it's not so draining if the father comes home and he's working his 9 to 5. He might be able to take himself a little nap before having to get up and, you know, monkey around with his kids. But she doesn't have that luxury. Her kids, if her kids are young, she has to pick them up from school, or they have to be at the daycare. She can't afford the luxury of taking a nap. Nobody talks about how difficult this can be. Or she switches her shift around. My bad. She switches her shift around, and she's out at nighttime, but she's back in the morning. Well, then that leaves her kids vulnerable if she's not in a good neighborhood. If she's not in a decent neighborhood, that leaves her household and her kids vulnerable. So she works at nighttime, 11 to 7. That's pretty much an evening. That's the third shift, 11 to 7. She gets off 7 in the morning. She can come home. If she's fortunate, she can pick up food on the way home, give it to the kids. And the less she has to come out of pocket for, or the less she's standing up, the quicker she can get to sleep. It's 5 o'clock. She got to pick her kids up. Or actually, I don't think any kid has ever been in school at 5 o'clock. More than likely to get out at 3. So she wouldn't even be able to pick her kids up on time. Like, y'all hearing how difficult this is. I knew people that was like this. I know people that's like this. Relatives that had to deal with this single parent mentality. And she got to hope that she has a good relationship with her mother, or her grandmother, or her father, or the grandfather. You got to hope that they want to be in her life when she's screwed up. She has these kids by herself. So let's run with the narrative that she has a grandmom, or she has a mom that's willing to, you know, to help out, or whatever the case is. Because more than likely, that's what these girls have. Then there's the grandmother that's maintaining and taking care of the kids while she's working. She's still not raising the kids. And then the grandmother is giving these kids outdated information, and she's not really raising them properly. She's basically just a low-budget babysitter. That's all she is. She's a low-budget daycare. And she might give the mother a little something on the money that she saves on taking them to daycare. What I find interesting is, why don't all these women who have kids get together and basically just have their own daycare, that way they can help each other take care of their kids, but they're not going to do that. And that's what would be interesting about all these, you know, protect women things, because women don't even help protect themselves. But like I said, I didn't mean for this to go on for this long. It's almost 40 minutes videos. We're on 35 minutes into this video, and I've gone on about this NBA young boy kid. You know, Floyd Mayweather says that this attitude, or the fact that this boy said these things, he didn't even blame him for saying these things. He pretty much pointed the direction at the parenting. And the parent basically tried to say that, I raised my kid to the best of my abilities. So, he's the grown man. He's going to say whatever he wants to say. It's like, nah, that pretty much came from you. We could look at his mannerisms, his behaviors, and determine that it came from her. The only reason why we didn't really see her snap on the whole situation, or I don't know. I don't know his, I don't follow his lifestyle. I don't even know, I don't even really know much about this kid except for the fact that he has 8 baby moms. He's dating Floyd Mayweather's daughter. And I suppose he's a successful rapper, depending on the type of deal that he signed. According to what I saw on Wikipedia or on the internet, he signed a $20 million deal with Birdman or Atlantic Records or whatever the case is. I've been seeing that he's been successful with putting out his music. His music has gotten platinum. I've never heard his music. I can't recall. I don't even know what his voice sounds like. I've never heard him rap before. I don't really know what he even talks about. But apparently, women like him. They like him enough to keep letting this man impregnate them. I remember seeing an interview many years ago where a woman was interviewing him and she said she was attractive and, he asked, could he take her on a date? He was 18 and she seemed older than that. So, have fun with the predatory vibes when it comes to this one because y'all kind of have different energy. But my point is that the parenting is that Floyd pointing out that the parenting is where this boy gets his attitude and mannerisms from. The parent is denying it. She really thinks she did a good job raising him, and if his father's not in the picture, I seriously doubt that. As I just went on for about 10 minutes about parenting, and even if I seem like I'm all over the place, it's just not possible for them to do as good as a job as they claim they do, and raise these kids. More than likely, it's a chance. It's a thing of luck of who you put around your kids or who your kids hang around with. Hopefully you get a kid that is hanging around friends who are smart. Hopefully you get a kid that's that participates in things that make them smarter. If not, you got a kid that's participating in or hanging around people who are involved in gang behavior, who are involved in degenerate behavior, and they end up coming out a statistic, which is what happens, and which is likely to happen when it comes to these single parent households. You always got all these guys who are giving them their mothers props for helping them raise them, but realistically, man, you should have never been in that situation in the first place. But maybe I might have to do another video on this. If you guys care about this type of content, let me know in the comments, man. I'd like to go into deeper to this. I'd like to, give a more articulate breakdown of this because this is crazy. This is definitely crazy. You got whole generations of kids who are raised by single mothers. Nobody seems to think there's anything wrong with it, but I just pointed out several holes in those in these conversations in single parent households. You're looking at half your day is gone. Your kids are never out, or your kids are out before you even get home from work, unless you work a certain time of the day, and then there's vulnerabilities. It's not possible to argue that. Unless you had a good job, which, again, still puts you in a bad place. But unless you had some type of job that was just super good, and then you could afford to, be this reckless with your womb. I can't think of any type of place that you could work at where, and it's highly unlikely with most of the average median being about $65K a year. I don't believe most women are actually in that ballpark range. They're working, BS jobs, minimum wage jobs, and they're not bringing that much money in. And unfortunately, in this situation, Floyd Mayweather's daughter has her father, and she has her, she'll probably, unless she has her own money put away, she probably, will probably make up with her parents, and then if things happen in their relationship, if they don't get married, which more than likely they don't. He has 8 baby moms, so he's probably told the same story to each of them. Or I don't know how it goes. I don't have any kids. I don't know how the conversation goes. I'm not trying to wish failure on his kid, but it's just so many red flags. and the way he talks to people. It's just, I don't know, man. Anyway, this is all the time that I have for this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And at the end of this video, you can check out all my other content below. I will catch you at the next video. Peace.